Hello, friends. Welcome back to another interview here on Love Wrestling, bringing you another great individual, another great professional wrestler, but frankly, so much more than that. Bianca Carelli joining me on the show. Like I said, like professional wrestler, you're a biology student, you're a pageant queen, you're a Neopets fan. I did my research on this. Great to get the opportunity to chat with you on a Saturday morning. Thank you for joining me. How are you doing?
Thank you so much for having me and good morning. I'm so happy I'm a Neopets fan. I'm very proud of that.
Well, like to be quite honest with you, it was great to listen to that whole interview you did with Brendan because like Neopets fan, I always will pop for a YTV reference because outside of Canada, you're not gonna hear that, right? It's like I could ask you about Uh-Oh right now, I'm sure you'd remember. And that for me, right? Like everybody's laughing about it when Braun Strowman's doing it, and I'm sitting here like somebody else is doing it, right? But we ain't here to talk about Strowman as much as I may enjoy him. We're here to chat about you. Unfortunately, haven't been able to wrestle, obviously, for the last little bit. What's it been like for you out in Ontario? Whether it's been trying to mentally stay in it, watch a lot of game tape, for lack of a better way to put it. Have you had access to a ring, or how have you sort of kept yourself in the wrestling mind state for the last little bit?
That's a good question. I actually haven't been able really to get in the ring since September, except for actually on Friday, I was able to get into Battle Arts with a girlfriend of mine and kind of just do some rolls, try to work off that ring rest. But, I've been staying in shape. I've been staying focused. I've been kind of studying what I can. So my mind every day is on wrestling. It's on what can I do today to get myself where I want to be? What can I do today to improve myself, my physical shape, my mental game? I'm also reading a lot of self-improvement books. I'm working on a positive mindset. Like everything I can do to get me where I want to go, like I'm doing it.
That's
What I
awesome to
gotta
hear.
do.
Well, and it's got to be difficult because I even know for myself, not in the wrestling sense, but like I'm sure you've hit the points where it's like, oh, it's tough to stay motivated today. Oh, I don't want to go to the gym, whatever it may be. How do you get yourself into that? I know you've like written messages on your mirror before, but
Yeah.
how else do you sort of stay in again the mental mind state for yourself?
So in those moments, I kind of step outside of just myself. Like I think not, oh, I'm tired. I think, why am I doing this? So what's my purpose? And I honestly love the environment and I love animals and nature. So everything I do is because I want to create a platform where I can advocate for these things that need so much support. Like
Mhm.
we all know that there's a global crisis in terms of like our resources, yet people they do the bare minimum, and I just want to be able to inspire people to do like at least a little more, like maybe let's try to save ourselves as a species, like that would be nice.
It's a bit of an important thing.
Yeah, so in moments like that I'm like, you know what, Bianca, like this is not for you. There's a greater purpose that you want to work towards. So when I get up, I'm doing it for the animals, I'm doing it for the trees, I'm not really even doing it for me at that point.
What's the school experience been like for you? My girlfriend's been in university throughout all of this, and it's been interesting to say the least. How have you made your way through it?
Well, I took a couple years off, like just to focus on wrestling. So I had a couple courses that I'm finishing up this year. And to be honest, I wish my whole university education was online. Um, I am more of like a self-regulated kind of person. I like working around my schedule.
Yeah.
So it's been nice, like to be able to have the opportunity to work ahead, or, to plan things around what I have to do in a day. Whereas when I was actually physically attending school, it's like, you got to get on the bus, you got to have breakfast before the bus, you got to get to school, you have to sit there, there's like all these distractions, and I have a little bit of ADHD, so I'd be listening to the lecture and then I'd see somebody on Facebook and I'd like start watching what they're doing, then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm in class. So then I missed like 10 minutes. So this is way better for me. um I know a lot of people like they like the social interaction component, but I'm honestly just there to learn. So
Yeah.
it works.
Well, oddly enough, I feel like we're the same in that, like two super conversational people, but I don't go to school to chat. It ain't anything against anybody, but if I'm paying money to be here, I've got a little bit more attention on that end
Exactly.
of things. Like you mentioned, you took a couple years off. It's pretty like, what's the word for me? Unfathomable, I
I'm
told you
bad
it's
at
still early. Like you're
I can't
only
even
3 years into pro wrestling. You've only, I guess, really had 2 full years of experience. You've had a lot of cool opportunities though in your career. I want to touch on the Canadian tryout in a bit, but I just want to touch on like what's allowed you to grow so much as a pro wrestler in 2 years. Obviously, training with Dukes and training at Battle Arts has got to help a lot, but your self-motivated mindset's got to be a large part of it. But maybe in your words, rather than me explaining to you why I think you've grown so much, why do you think you've grown so much and earned opportunities like that?
I think, of course, like I do have a slight advantage of, my father, of course. I know a lot of people might feel like, oh, she's lucky she gets these opportunities. I do feel like throughout my childhood, like I did put in kind of the sacrifice of not having my father around. So to me,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, it's kind of fair. Like I didn't get to see my dad. I watched my dad travel and work really, really hard. So I feel like if it's a kind of fair that I get to reap some of the benefits of that. But at the same time, that's very limited because,
Yeah.
maybe he can get me some more opportunities. But if I show up and I expect things to be handed to me and I haven't put in the work and I haven't had that hunger and I haven't practiced and constantly stepped out of my comfort zone, then I'm just throwing these opportunities away. And that's something I will not do because I know I'm
Yeah.
lucky. I know I'm lucky to have these opportunities. And I have so many friends, like close, dear friends that I know, I wish they would have as many opportunities as me, but they don't. So that's why I work as hard as I do because it's not fair. I'm not going to throw that away. I'm fully grateful. I'm fully appreciative. But at the end of the day, it's on me. And that's why
Yeah.
I give 100%.
Yeah. Well, and like for lack of a better way to put it, it's got to be like that need to live up, quote unquote, to the family name, right? Like if you're going to a WWE tryout and you shit the bed for lack of a better way to put it, it's not just going to look bad on you, it's going to look bad on him, I'd have to assume too, right? It is cool though for him that like you got to really live the independent experience. You've talked about going to Japan with him, being at his first match in, I think it was Orange County, you said it was.
Yeah,
It's
Orangeville, I think.
there we go.
Yeah,
Sorry, I was close. I tried my best. I had
very
fun, but I
close.
didn't nail it. But it's got to be cool. Is that a goal of yours, is to really live the independent experience? Where do you want to go with your professional wrestling career? Obviously, this little pandemic situation notwithstanding.
I mean, the thing, like, this is going to sound super spiritual, but the thing with life is like, if I find myself lost so much in like where I want to go, I might not be as grounded and enjoy the journey. And so that's something like I always try to do is I try to stay present. So, like, obviously, like I feel torn. Like, there's so many things I want to do. I want to travel the States. Of course, I want to travel Canada. I want to travel in Europe. I want to travel in Japan. Like, I want to do everything, but there's realistically like not time to do all of that. And like, you know what I mean? Well, maybe there is. So in the meantime, I kind of just focus on what I can do. So I take it day by day by day by day, and I'm just willing to see where the road takes me and where the path leads.
Yeah.
And yeah, who knows? Who knows where it goes? I can only imagine, right?
Well, and selfishly, like you guys have such a cool independent scene out there in Ontario, whether it is yourself, a Holden Albright, Alexia, Nicole, Jody Threat, like Flares of On Vertigo. How do you pull inspiration from such a wide variety of people? I'm certain it's got to be difficult for you, but a very good problem to have to be able to say, I want to work this person, work this person. I want to be appearing on Go Hard Pro Wrestling. Maybe just talk to me a little bit about the indie scene out there right now.
Well, we definitely have a lot of talented people, especially females.
Yeah.
And what I really like is just like the hunger that they all have, and the stuff they do is amazing. And like I always like, I'm an Instagrammer, so I'm always like looking at clips, and I'm like, wow, that's sweet. Like, wow, that's sweet. And I do want shows to come back on. I want an opportunity to wrestle with, more of these girls like Jody, like Alexia. Um, and just I've had I think just one match with Alexia, and honestly in that one match, I think it was my fourth match, I learned so much. So
Yeah.
like these are great opportunities for me to like be like a sponge and absorb all that I can, and they're talented, they're out there making names for themselves, and a lot of the guys too, awesome. Like where's a Holden, I know you mentioned them, they're great. A lot of my battle arts friends are awesome too. Maybe they haven't tapped in so much to the like independent scene, but they have the makings of like future superstars. And you know, and that's the thing with wrestling is like locally in Ontario, there's going to be all kinds of people who wrestle in all different styles, have been all different places. Just like across Canada, there's different wrestlers, different trainers. Across the world, there's different trainers, different wrestlers, different styles. And that's one thing that I feel like is so exciting about wrestling is that you can take so much from so many different people. You can mix it all together. You can really make it your own to the point that, okay, maybe you're doing like Ricky Steamboat's arm drags, but at the end of the day, like that's just one little piece. There's a million other things that you can learn from, take from, and every wrestler ends up being quite unique that I find.
It's almost like growing up with the video game culture of like you can almost build your create a wrestler. Like you say, you've got Ricky Steamboat's arm drags, and fuck it, I'm going to throw an attitude adjustment in there every so often because I feel like it. I wanted to pivot because you've brought it up obviously a couple of times, Battle Arts. Did you decide to start training there or inspired the move to start training there because you wanted to be closer to home? Was it wanting to train with your dad, or why did you make the move there?
So London, Ontario, like being away from home and living in London on my own, I found it wasn't as positive as an environment for me. I didn't realize
Okay.
until I moved away for university, like how much of a homebody I am, and not having like my family around and having like love and like warmth and just having kind of like friends and living in a dorm. I didn't thrive, and I was ready to
Mhm.
come home and just feel more comfortable around those that I love. So I think at that point in my life, I was like, okay, like, you know, school's great and all, but like I'm ready to come home. I want to focus. I want to learn from my dad. I really did love learning with Tyson, and I wish I could have
Yeah.
stayed a little longer, but it had just become the summer, and I was like, okay, like I'm going home, and I'm probably gonna stay home
It's
for a
good
while.
timing. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're training with your dad, is he able to make that separation of training with his daughter versus training with another student? Have you found it difficult to make that separation, or how's the experience been there?
My dad's a really good trainer and he has a good eye. When it comes to me, he is a little bit sorry, my no-no's here watching me now. I feel like the
Tell
pressure's
her I
on.
say
I
hello.
don't know. Yeah, so my dad, of course, he wants me to push hard and he knows because I'm his daughter, a lot of people are gonna expect that opportunities will be handed to me and he doesn't want anyone to think like that because he knows how hard I work. And so
Yeah.
he does push me. And there's been a couple times where maybe he's hurt my feelings a little bit, but that's expected. Like, even if he was just my coach, not my dad, and I got some hard feedback, I'm a softie. So I'd be like, oh my God, I need to do better. But at the end of the day, that's what it does. It pushes me to do better. I would say he cares about all of his students equally. Like, obviously, I'm his daughter. He loves me differently, but he has so much love for his students. And he, like, when I'm driving around with him or hanging out with my dad, he's always like, oh, I wish this guy would do this. He's so good. Or I wish this guy will get a tryout soon. Like, I really want to get a tryout. He's amazing. Like, he's invested in his students. He cares about his students. And he might be a little rough around the edges, but he's like a genuinely big hearted, kind person. And I know a lot of people maybe that have trained under him might have got their feelings hurt a couple times, but at the end of the day, you know, this is wrestling. Like, you got to toughen up a little bit. And he's saying these things for the right reasons because he wants people to succeed genuinely. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, it's hard sometimes not to take it personal, but I know he loves me and wants me to succeed, and that's the most important thing.
You've answered the question a bit then, admittedly, but is that what you feel differentiates him as a trainer? I feel he might be, and because he's done so well with a lot of the quote unquote comedy stuff before, maybe he does get overlooked at just how good he was as a pro wrestler. You don't win the Intercontinental Championship on your debut if you aren't. So is he maybe underappreciated in your experience? But then again, what makes him a great trainer? Is it all that stuff you said before or something
That's
different?
cool. I like that question because obviously my dad's always been hilarious. He's a funny guy. And so for him to have a character that really shows off how funny he really is, I really appreciate that. Like,
Mhm.
that's what makes him kind of different maybe than other wrestlers is that he's great on the mic, he's charismatic, he's fun. And as much as Santino's goofy, it's really similar to my actual dad, Anthony. Like,
Yeah.
Anthony and Santino are very similar. But at the same time, my dad's been an athlete his whole life.
Mhm.
Wrestling, judo, football. Um, he was on the Canadian national team. He's gone across the world with judo. He's an athlete, and
Yeah.
he's a fast learner. He trained under Rip, right? And so he has great psychology. When he was at OVW, like his character was actually a Russian guy, and his fight style was more like sambo, like badass. And
Yeah.
and he was great at that too. So that's one thing that's really good about my dad is he's versatile and he's naturally a talented athlete. So I mean, I wouldn't say that, he didn't, like, maybe his wrestling style was overlooked, maybe by fans who have an untrained eye and can't
Yeah.
actually realize how fluid he is, how awesome is he is, his arm drags, his hip tosses, everything, even the way he takes moves is so well executed. He's well trained, he's a good athlete, and I'm happy to learn from him, like
Yeah.
not just as his daughter, but just in terms of the knowledge that he offers as a coach. It's unbelievable knowledge.
I love hearing it. I absolutely love hearing it. Now, I know you've done some athletic stuff in the past, obviously, but I wanted to pick your brain on being a pageant queen and getting into that
Yeah.
side of things. Obviously, that's a talent in and of itself. And I know you've told the story before. This is one of those typical questions I tell you before we start. Maybe give me a little bit on how you started in it, but I also wanted to ask maybe how it's affected your wrestling experience, getting in front of a crowd and really exposing yourself as a human being. Has that helped? Has it been maybe a less conscious help, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it? Or how would you describe it?
Well, actually, I would definitely say that there's like pageantry and wrestling to me, other than the fighting, I barely see a difference because, there's glitz, there's glamour. You're on the mic, you're cutting a promo, you're being interviewed, you're answering questions. You have to speak eloquently and embody like feminine strength.
Yeah.
And that's what I also want to embody when I'm in the wrestling ring. So I want to be a good role model for young girls. Now I want to be strong. So a lot of the focus and like the theatrics and the glitz and the glamour is 100% the same thing. If I'm in the wrestling ring or I'm coming out behind the curtain and I'm walking with my special attitudey anger walk, when I walk behind the curtain at the pageant and I'm posh and happy and I'm swooning a little differently, it's the exact same thing, different gimmick.
Yeah.
Exact same thing, different gimmick. But pageantry, like it's interesting in the sense. So the way I got into it, I was maybe 16, 17. I was just sitting on the couch, just watching TLC, and Toddlers and Tiaras came on, and I'm like, I could do that. Then I went to my computer and I Googled, I was like, Canada pageants, and I found one, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna enter this. So that was it. I entered it, and I actually won Miss Teen Ontario, and I was like, all right, like I guess I'm good at walking around in a dress. But to be honest, I would say that, like, a lot of people, they see like pageantry and they just kind of see like the dresses, the bathing suits, and they hear the answers to the questions, which sometimes go very badly.
Everybody's seen clips, I'm certain. Yeah.
they're funny. But there is so much more that goes on behind the pageant. So when I did Miss Teen Canada, I independently, completely on my own, had to raise 3,000. I didn't have to. I just, like, there was a charity portion. So I raised as much money as I could. And this was in my grade 12 year. So I'm trying to finish high school, get into university. I raised $3,000. I did car washes.
Holy
I did
shit.
jewelry sales. Yeah, yard sales. What else did I do? Like, I can't remember everything now. It's so long ago now. Oh my gosh, time flies. But
right.
I was hustling and going to events like Rib Fest. I was trying to find local stuff, see what I could do. And even now for this pageant, this pageant's a lot more laid back than the one I did in high school. But I have to do community events and involvement. And it's like, how do you do that during COVID?
Just gonna say that's got to be an adventure right now.
Yeah, so it's been difficult. So, I managed to do an online event with my girlfriend Scarlett. She's a boxing coach. She's a boxing athlete. She's awesome. She competes. So she did an event with me, and I kind of tried to share boxing with people so they could get active. Everyone's cooped up. I thought that might be a good solution. But again, like, there's a lot of work that goes into it. Like a lot of the girls that I see now on my Instagram, they're doing bottle drives, they're collecting clothing items or perishable food, and they all actually genuinely want to help make a difference. And I think that that's something that's often overlooked with pageants, is
Mm-hmm.
that the girls that participate in them, they all feel that they're really good role models, and a lot of them actually really are. They really care. And that's what I like about it, is the difference. And I also like the sparkles. I can't lie.
You don't get
So,
into it if you don't. Let's just get real here. I thought it was pretty fun at the start. You're like, I was watching TLC, and then you corrected toddlers and tiaras. I'm like, how do you possibly go from tables, ladders, and chairs
oh
to
my
pageants?
god. I meant channel 34.
You cleared her up real quick. Don't worry. Again, us the Canadian side of things, we got her figured out.
Oh my
I do
gosh,
want to
that's so
ask,
funny.
like I mentioned, on the Canadian side of things, being a part of the first ever WWE Canadian Tryout in 2019, how'd that opportunity come about for you as you know, a Canadian in amongst a great Canadian wrestling scene? It's got to be pretty cool to be one of 30, 35 people there. How'd it come about? And then tell me a little bit about the tryout. I know you've mentioned that maybe you didn't get enough time would be the only thing that you'd want a little bit of, but outside of that, it had to be a pretty positive experience, hey?
Well, yeah, I think, I saw that quote, and I remember saying that I didn't feel like I did have enough time. I know my wrestling wasn't like, I think at that point I'd had 13 matches. So
Holy
I
cow.
obviously, yeah, I was extremely green.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was working out every single day. I was preparing for this. I was eating very clean. I'd been trying different diets for a year. My mind was 100% like, let's go. Let's do this. And I knew, okay, maybe I'm not going to be the best wrestler, but you know what? I'm good on the mic, and I'm willing to put in the work. You know what I mean? So for me, I was kind of hoping to see, oh, wow, she works really hard. She doesn't give up. And I know a lot of the stuff that they do in tryouts is meant to wear you down, to see
Yeah.
mentally how strong you are. And so
Mhm.
that was my biggest thing, was I wanted to show my mental strength. I wanted to show my toughness, that you make me run until I throw up, and I will throw up and I will keep on running. And then
Yeah.
I will throw up again and I will keep on running. You're going to have to call an ambulance before I stop running. Like,
Yeah.
that was what I wanted to show, is that
The
animal inside.
fire. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. But on top of that, like, holy, just getting there. And I'll never forget this moment. Like, once we arrived and we got led into the room where the trial was going to take place, I was like, wow. I was
Yeah.
like, this is so cool. I was like, just taken aback. It was breathtaking. And it's like, I don't know if it was meant to be a little intimidating, but it definitely was.
I was gonna say putting like the WWE logo everywhere they possibly can.
I think so. I think it was like that. Yeah.
Brand
There was a
awareness, but
big,
intimidation, right?
yeah, there was like a big projector screen, and they did this, like, showed us this video of like all these clips about the PC and WWE. And it was like, wow, I want to be there more than
Yeah.
anything. I want to be there. And it was cool too, because like a lot of the wrestlers, right, that were there, you see them at shows, they're cool, they're tough, they kick butt, they're athletes. And even they were all like, you know what I mean? Everyone was like in the
Yeah.
same mode. Everyone was nervous and wanting it and wanting to show their best. So oh man, I just want another opportunity to show how much I've grown. Because of COVID, maybe my wrestling experience, I haven't been able to grow it as much as I was going to before COVID hit. I had so many bookings that just got thrown out the window
Out the
because
door, yeah.
of COVID. Yeah. And I think I know I've had, because I keep track. I've had like 32 matches now. So that's
Mhm.
3 times the experience. I think math's not my strong point. Of when I was at the tryout, roughly 3 times.
Don't worry, I'm not jumping in because I'm definitely worse than you are on the math end of things.
Okay.
I am
But
second in this conversation.
okay, well then that's a relief. So we'll just go with 3 times the experience.
Perfect.
So I mean, I feel like now now I would definitely do better in that component. Mic skills probably the same, and that fire is still burning.
I love it. Now, obviously, wrestling more, I would have to assume, is maybe some of the advice that they would have given. But was there any other feedback, or was there anything else that they maybe suggested or gave you to work on if WWE is going to be the goal in the future?
I would say that the biggest feedback was honestly just get out there, wrestle, learn, keep staying active. Like, I think they just really want to see growth and determination. You know, and I think that would be from anybody. Like if I was hiring somebody for a job and they just showed up and they didn't seem like they loved the job or were excited, then I'd probably be like, I'm not going to hire you. So
Yeah.
I think it's just they want to see there's that drive, that desire, that willingness to do what you got to do and push and don't take no for an answer. And so that's what I'm going to do. Exactly what I think they want and more.
Well, I was going to say, it almost seems like it runs with a similar mentality to how they ran the tryout. Is like, only speaking as an outsider, it seems like most individuals they're signing now have gone back for 3, 4, 5 tryouts. And it ain't a testament to the talent. It seems like you said there, it's they want to see the growth. They want to see that you want it. They want to see that you want to chase it, right?
Fully, yeah. No, I totally agree. And I noticed that too, that like sometimes it takes a few tries, and that's what life is. If you fail, keep trying. If you fail, keep trying. Like, don't stop trying, because then what? Then what do you do?
Exactly. You can get 9 no's and 1 yes, and that 1 yes is going to overrule all of the 9 no's they gave you previously, right?
Exactly.
It's got to help a little bit, and maybe tell me a little bit if it means a lot, means a little bit, or if you're indifferent to it. But when your dad's tweeting out stuff at this point saying, hey, WWE, hey, Trips, hey, Stephanie McMahon, this is my daughter. She's a fucking star. Pay some attention at this point, right? Like, despite the fact that you are his daughter, I'd have to assume, like you said earlier, he's maybe got that little bit of extra love for whatever reason for you. I don't think he'd be right.
I would hope so.
You'd think so. It's got to mean a lot when he's saying that sort of stuff, because again, it's assuming on my end, but he wouldn't be sending that out unless he believed it, right? What's it mean to you to see him, like, to use the wrestling phrase, going out and putting you over like that?
Yeah. And you know what? It did mean a lot. It really, really did. And like when I first saw it, I was like, you like any kid when their parent is like, this is my child, you're gonna be like, Mom, Dad. So at first I was like, oh my God, Dad. And then I was like, oh, Dad. That, it's so like, he is a very emotional guy, my dad, but he will not often say how he feels. I feel like that's most men. Maybe it's changing now. I like that, but anyways,
getting better, but you're still tending towards the right side of things.
Yeah. So to see that, I was like, okay, he's proud of me, and it was a nice moment to like realize, like, wow, my dad has seen my growth. Of course he has, and he's seen the work I put in, and he's proud of me, and I kind of just felt like, yeah, I'm a good kid, good job. So it was
That's
nice.
cool.
And like you said, he is, taking almost, not, I wouldn't say taking a chance, but kind of he's taking a chance and being like, this is my daughter, like, here she is, and I endorse her. And of course, then I already don't want to disappoint anyone, especially myself. But that does kind of put something on me to say, you know what, here we go. He thinks I'm ready. I think I'm ready. Let's do this full force. And that's why I woke up at 6 a.m. on my Saturday, because weekends don't exist anymore.
Well, I was going to say, like, while I was sitting down to get everything set up and all of that, it came through your story where it's like, I'm recently of the mentality that Saturday in the best possible ways is just another day. If you've got the energy, get out there, get your stuff done. Like, you were out working out before this, if I remember correctly, which is, again, a testament. If you're getting up on a Saturday morning, I'm going to work out today, but I can definitely tell you it'll be closer to noon. You know what I mean?
Hey, as long as you get it done. Everyone has different schedules, right? Some people love to work out in the evening. I'm just a morning person.
Yeah. I like getting this stuff done in the morning. I'm happy to sit and talk, but anything like physically exerting, will be saved for like the afternoon portion of things. The other tweet that I wanted to ask you about, because it was cool for me to see, is Beth Phoenix going out of her way to say you were cutting promos backstage at 10. Do you have any memories of that? What was it like for you back at that point? you've mentioned you weren't like maybe a big wrestling fan at that point. What was the experience like?
So first of all, Beth is a super sweetheart. She's like the nicest ever. And she was at OVW. A lot of people that, have had careers or still have careers with WWE were at OVW when my dad was there.
Yeah.
So of course I'm little and all I know is that, my dad's in Kentucky, he's wrestling, and so he wants me to see what it's like.
Yeah.
So there I go with my Hello Kitty backpack, my Nintendo DS, and I'm sitting in the stands. And I just watched the wrestling classes, which were like Rip Rogers just like yelling at everyone. Totally awesome. And one day they're doing promos. And my dad, like, I can't fully remember this, but I remember watching them do promos. And I remember my dad saying, "Do you want to do one?" I think they were practicing the next day they were going to tape. Yeah. So I was like, okay, sure. I always did like school plays and the speech contests. And like, yeah, I liked talking in front of the class or answering questions. As kind of like a teacher's pet nerd kind of girl. And my pencils were always really sharp, so they were ready to write with. Anyways, so I came up with the promo, and then I cut the promo, and they actually like, my dad posted a picture of it. I think we actually have like the footage of it. I don't really know where it is, but I remember it was actually like a heel promo, and I remember it. It was like, everyone says the OVW divas are the best, that they're the most beautiful and they're the most talented. And then I think I said something like, well, they must be blind, like, or something. And I was so little. And then I remember saying something along the lines of like, you guys, you're like cassette tapes. That's how old back we're going. I was like, you guys are cassette tapes. I'm an iPod Nano. And that's back when the iPod Nano was like
beautiful. Oh my God. Well played.
Yeah, I guess got them. So that was my big line, I guess. I'm an iPod Nano and blah, blah, blah. That's all I really remember from it. But I remember all the girls, especially Alicia Fox, was like, oh my God, that was awesome. And I was just a little kid, and I thought I felt cool. I felt good about it.
Oh my God, I need to see that one of these days. Bianca Carelli shoots hard on the OVW Divas. That's how we're going to send this one out. We want to get all the clicks, right? God. Don't worry. I promise I won't clickbait you. I want to have you back on the show here sooner rather than later. But awesome. We're about wrapped up for time here on this one. It means a lot that you took the time for me, like I said, on a Saturday morning when you could be doing other stuff. Thank you so, so much. If people want to keep the time, anytime. Like I said, I want to have you back. But if people want to keep track of you until you are back on the show, how can they do so?
So my Instagram is at Bianca with 2 A's at the end of Bianca, Sophia with 2 A's at the end of Sophia. And then my Twitter is Carelli Bianca. And those are pretty much my big socials. I have a pageant page right now, which people want to follow that they can. But I mean, I would just stick to the IG and the Twitter.
I was going to say, you can find the link for that. We're not going to plug that one.
Yeah, we'll just stick to the IG and the Twitter.
Well, regardless, choose to support Bianca. I would 100% suggest, doing so. Support the Ontarian independent professional wrestling scene. But thank you guys for taking the time and supporting Love Wrestling by tuning in today. Hopefully you stay tuned and keep up to date with the latest and greatest from the Canadian indie scene, from the worldwide wrestling scene, and everything in between. That rhymed unintentionally, but we're going to go with it. Thank you guys once again. We'll see you on the next one.